Good morning. How to make your sourdough starter using all-purpose unbleached flour and tap water. Today is day 5 for us making sourdough starter with all-purpose unbleached flour and tap water. And today is December 2nd, 2022. So let's take a peek at our sourdough starter. When you are making a sourdough starter, you are going to feed it every 24 hours until it doubles in sizes. And then you know that it is ready to use to bake pizza or bread. So that's how you make your own sourdough starter. So we have our culture, our sourdough starter. We fed it on day 4 and we left it. I don't know if you notice it. It is at this level, but you can see that I have coverage all around it. And we put it at a spot that it should not be disturbed during the day, like move around. And I don't know if you notice it, but when we mix it using a clean jar yesterday, we didn't have, dough all around perfectly like that. So what does that tell you? That the dough at some point rose all the way to where we have full coverage around the jar. If you mix a dough in a jar, you'll have dough residue all around. But now, like if you painted the jar, because I have a towel, a cloth napkin that I put on the jar, I don't check it during the day. Therefore, I didn't know at what point it rose that high. But from this, I will say that it rose more than double the size of our sourdough starter when we fed it. When we fed it yesterday, it was 1.25 cup level, and 1.25 cup, that's quart canning jar. So 1.25, that's the cup size. It was somewhere here. We have 1 cup, and we have 1.5, and then we have 2 cups here, and 3 cups somewhere here, 3 cups somewhere here. So it is at 2 cups level. Now when we fed it, it was 1.25 cups. It's at 2 cups level, but we have full coverage of the dough all the way past that 3 cups bar line. So it double. It was more than double the size of the original starter, 1.25 cups. You can see the full coverage. Mixing the dough in the jar wouldn't have caused that. So now let's open it and see how it is inside. We can see the bubbles, and I will say it is now as fermented as the second day when I mixed it and I opened the jar. The smell was quite strong, but not so much this time. It's not like a bad smell or anything. Maybe that's something to look for as well, but it's not smelling bad or anything at all. The day 2, it was quite fermenty type of smell, fermentation type of smell, sour type of smell. This time is more floury for me. I can smell the gas a little bit, but it's not as strong as day 2. But you can see all those bubbles. So how to feed sourdough starter. We are going to get another 4-cup clean jar. I wash my hands already, so it's good to work with clean hand. We have our lid on that. We are going to use a 1/2 cup of sourdough starter, and that's what we are going to feed. We will transfer 1/2 cup of the starter to the clean jar. We will add a 1/2 cup of tap water to it, and we will add 1 cup of all-purpose unbleached flour to it, and we will stir it together to mix all 3 ingredients together. So what is the ratio flour to the sourdough starter? To 1/2 cup of sourdough starter, you will use 1 cup of flour. So to 1 part of sourdough starter, you use 2 parts of flour and 1 part of water. I'm going to repeat it again. To 1/2 cup to 1 part of sourdough starter, you feed it with 1 part of water, 2 parts of flour. So we are going to use 1/2 cup of starter because we don't want to go through a lot of flour. It is easier for us to feed 1/2 cup of starter, and that 1/2 cup of starter you can use it to ferment 3 cups of flour for sourdough bread or sourdough pizza. You can use that like when you take the discard you will take after you are done making your sourdough starter. It is ready to ferment with. When you take a 1/2 cup to feed the remaining, you can use that to ferment 3 cups of sourdough bread flour. You know, the dough for sourdough bread and the dough for sourdough pizza, 3 cups. You can use that discard to ferment 3 cups of flour. You can use that discard to ferment 6 cups of flour as well. For us to cook pizza and bread, I do 6 cups of flour, and I use the discard after feeding 1/2 cup of sourdough starter. So let's get started. And please, if I confuse you, you can ask more questions and I will answer to the best ability of my knowledge. So what we'll do first is we will stir it, but let me take picture of inside. We will have the pictures and the articles on our blog ninasoap.com. So let's stir it together. What I would suggest, let me show you inside. Do you see the inside? Do you see the coverage inside all the way to the neck of the jar? And if you look closely, you'll notice that when we mix the dough, where we have dough residue, we have more big chunk of residue there compared to, you know, a liquid, semi-thick liquid of coverage all around the jar. So those are things to look for when you are observing your sourdough starter, to see how it's reacting to the fermentation process. So let's stir it together. That's the first things we'll do when feeding a sourdough starter. We want to stir it together to make sure the bottom and the top are all mixed together. And the smell, you know, it smell fermentation is on the, I don't know, I can smell the flour and I can smell sourness as well, but nothing bad. So that's something to look for as well. It's not smelling bad. Okay, so now that we stir it together, we will pour. And I don't know if you noticed that yesterday was not this liquidy, but now it is. So let's pour half cup size into our half cup. It'll be good to know how much we have left in here, right? After we fill half cup, it'll be good to know how much. One way to do it, since we are using measurement on the jar, it was 1.25 cups when we fed it yesterday. So if we take a half cup, we'll have 0.75 cups left in there. So that's what, when it's done, that's about that you will use to ferment 2 cups of flour for your pizza or sourdough bread, and that's what you'll use for 6 cups of flour as well. It's going to ferment those two, and I have now used more flour than 6 cups, but I have done 3 cups as well. It's just the water you will add that will be different. The starter you will use to ferment both type of flour, 3 cups and 6 cups, will just be the same. So use feeding half cup of starter with 1 cup of flour and half cup of water. It is a good manageable size of culture to have on hand for your baking. But if you sell your baked goods, maybe you might want to have, and you want to have, not maybe, but you want to have more sourdough starter on hand, then you can double the size to 1 cup of sourdough starter. You will feed it with 1 cup of water and 2 cups of flour. If you are making, you know, if you want a big a good amount of sourdough starter on hand to feed. So now that we have our half cup of sourdough starter, let's put it here. And please don't get confused with those numbers. So I'm going to repeat the numbers we are working with. We are going to feed a half cup, 0.5 cup of sourdough starter with a half cup of tap water and 1 cup of all-purpose unbleached flour. So now that we transfer it to the jar, let's get half cup of tap water. What type of water can you use to feed your sourdough starter or to make your sourdough starter? You can use any water from your tap water. If you can drink it, your filtered water from the fridge. By the fridge, I'm talking about if your fridge comes with a filter to filter water, you can take it from there as well. You can use bottled water or filtered water. So what kind of temperature what temperature water should you use, or should we use warm water or cold water to feed your sourdough starter or to make your sourdough starter? I would suggest you use room temperature water. The water has not been used for hours beside me washing my hand earlier, so it will be on the cold side, but that's fine. If you have used your faucet quite a bit to clean, to wash hand and wash dishes, the water will be on the warm side, and that will be fine as well. Just make sure you don't intentionally feed with hot water, and you don't take cold water from the fridge, like cold water from inside your fridge to feed it either. It's not going to destroy your organism. But if you use hot water, the hot water might, because they are living organisms, we don't want to burn them. So we have our culture we want to feed. We have the room temperature half cup water to be poured on it, and let's work on everything above the table so that we do not drop anything. It's good to use a table knife to level the flour, and we are not going to weigh the flour. It doesn't have to be precise. At least I don't measure it like to be precise. So we are just going to scoop the flour to make sure our cup is well covered. And then since we have some space here, we are just going to scrape the flour toward that side to cover it, and horizontally we will scrape it up, and then we'll have our 1 cup loosely packed. I like to use my flour storage container so that I do not dump the water on the floor. You can do that above the sink too. And we can just shake it above the sink so that we don't have to have cleaning to do here much. So we have our water, starter, and flour. Now you will stir it together. It's good to hold on to the jar so that it is stable enough for you to stir it. And just turn it around to mix everything. You want the starter, the water, the flour to mix well. And during the day at some point, I will open the tower. I will remove the tower to see how it is rising. So if you are working on it, you know, in the evening, you are feeding your sourdough starter in the evening, and you work, you have a job, you work outside of your house. Maybe when you are leaving in the morning, you can remove the tower to look at yours before you leave. That way, if it rose overnight, you'll notice it. And then when you are back in the evening, time to feed it, you will see the change as well. That's one way to do it. If you feed yours in the morning before you go to work, then, you know, when you come back in the evening, you can remove the towel, take a look at it to see how it rolls within that 8, 9, 10 hours. And then in the morning again, when you are ready to feed it, you'll be able to see the change, you know, from the last time you check it. Because it's been rising well for us, it will be a good idea for me to check it, you know, halfway through, like around 12 hours. After 12 hours or so, I'm very surprised to see that it rose all the way to the neck of the jar, and that's pretty much 4 cups level. So it is a good idea to use 4 cup size container if you are feeding a half cup sourdough starter, because we all saw it could rise all the way to 4 cups level. This jar is a quart jar, so it will hold 4 cups water. And we just saw the sourdough starter mark on the jar. It was at the neck level. So use to feed half cup of sourdough starter, it is a good idea to use 4 cup size of container minimum. So now we mix it well. We can just scrape our jar to make sure we get it all together. And that's how we did it yesterday as well. So you can see that, you know, it's not a perfect coverage all around the jar like the way this one was this morning. You can see those, you know, when I use the spoon to clean up the side of the jar, you can see, you know, the clean side, the flour mixture side and all that. So for this morning, for the whole jar to be perfectly bathed in a thin coat of flour mixture, shows that it rose all the way to this level by this morning, day 5. So let's level a little bit to gauge the level. So we have, those are the cups. So we have a half, 1 cup, and I will say it's not, I will say, let's say it is 1.25, because I can see 1.5 here. The middle of the dough is at 1.25, but it's just like type of pyramid there. It's now level well. Don't know if you can see, it's not level well. The middle is a little bit up, and the top is at 1.5 cups level. But I think if you rest, it will be maybe half of that, so 1.25 cup. So we are going to assume we have 1.25 cups level again, and I'm going to, don't know why I don't keep tab on my clean lids. Frankly, I don't know which one is. Both look clean. So oh well, I don't know. Okay, so both look clean, or at least this one look, I don't know. Okay, so now we just take our lid. It's just 2 part, so it's a canning jar, so you can can your own broth. And by the way, when you are washing your lid and you are drying it, it's good to pull it apart like this so that I can dry. I didn't do it, and I have that Rossi stain there. So yeah, you can easily wipe it off. But anyway, so we are going to put it on it. So should you store your sourdough starter in a tie lid container? Not really. If you can close it loosely, you can use the tie lid container, but don't close it tight. I like to just close it in a way that is not the lid is not going to come off, but you can see that it's turning. So that allows some airflow, minimum airflow in and out, because I believe the organisms are aerobic, you know, so they live in an area with air. So I don't know if they need air or not, but I don't need to close it tight, and they are producing gas, so you know, an air bubble, so I don't think I need to keep air out of it. So that's how I do mine. So now that we fed the sourdough starter, we put it in a clean 4 cups jar, we put a lid on it loosely. How do you store your sourdough starter on your counter? If we are going to put it on this counter, it will go at the far back. So to store your sourdough starter on your counter, find a spot on your kitchen counter where it won't be disturbed. So I like to put it at the far back, even though we use this side quite a bit for our drinking cups. I like to use this area because when children comes from school, they wash their lunch containers and drinking water. I don't wipe inside of it. I will ask them to just leave it here so that it can air dry. So they use the back of the counter to store their things, their school eating containers and drinking containers. So if I put it there, they might have to move my sourdough out of the way if it's on their way. So I'm not going to use that area, even though we all use this area for our drinking cups. The kids don't use the far back. Therefore, it's good to use the far back where you are not going to be moving your sourdough starter. And it's good to put a towel on it so that if that area is exposed to sunlight, you'll keep the direct sunlight off of it. So we sell cloth napkins. If you're interested, you'll find it at ninassoap.com, and the website will be in the description. But any kitchen towel will work, and you just cover it. What the towel will do as well is, if you have flies in the house, they won't go inside, because those flies, some of them are drawn to fermented fruity things. So a lot of time banana flour like to be around when you have a lot of banana in the house. So it's good to keep a towel on it so that those flies don't go inside your jar and lay egg in your starter. That's very important. You do not want that protein in your sourdough starter. So now, what do we do with the sourdough discard? Day 5 of feeding our sourdough starter is rising very well, but I'm not going to use the sourdough starter discard. I'm tempted of using it to mix 3 cups of flour and 1 cup of water together to see if it's going to rise a dough for me within 12 hours. But I'm not going to do that. Let's continue feeding our sourdough starter to see if it's rising regularly, doubling in size for us on a regular basis. Then we know that it is ready for us to start fermenting a big batch of flour with it. So we are going to discard these. So your flour dough starter discard, you can throw it in the trash, you can put it in your compost bin, or you can put it in your garden. So I mulch my garden, therefore I do not compost. I do not manage a compost bin. It's like composting in one spot. Things go straight in the garden, because if you are mulching, I don't really see the point of having a compost bin separately, and things break down very quickly when you are putting them directly in the garden, because you are not going to be piling them up in one spot. So it's cold outside because it's December. I'm not going to go outside, and I don't know if you can tell, but it's 4:33 in the morning. Therefore, I've been keeping my things that will go in the garden. You know, when I cook rice and I have burnt rice that I have to clean out of the pan if I'm not eating it myself, it will go in the bag. If I have apple peel, apple core, you know, I can put those in the bag. So the sourdough starter discard can be added as well, and I've been keeping it in the freezer. That way in the spring, I can just take those bags and dump the content in the garden. Yes, you can put your sourdough discard in the garden because it's flour made out of wheat, which, you know, so it is pretty much food that can be returned to the land and feed the organism there. So those organisms are here as well. So those organisms, you know, they are in the flour, they are in the flour here too. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Afiabi Liberman, creators of Liberman Consulting, L.L.C YouTube channel, and NinaSoap.com, our blog. Thank you, you all that subscribe to our channel. Thank you for all your comments, and we thank you very much for watching our videos. Yes, making your sourdough starter. You can bake a pizza, you can bake bread. So pretty much you are cooking from scratch, and that allows you to save money. And our channel, we share different ways you can save money and different ways you can make money to become financially independent, where you do not depend on your job to feed your family. Thank you so much.